everyone. I'm Terry Zahn.
And I'm Mark Franklin. Welcome to the 6th Fleet in the Med. Right now, we're just off Spain, not far from Palma de Mallorca.
If you look behind us, you'll see we're being replenished at sea with the USNS Sirius. For more than 40 years now, ships like the Kennedy have been sailing east from Norfolk to spend 6 months or longer in this very important but often very troubled area.
And for more than 40 years, some of the ships and sailors have been here for the holidays. For the next hour, we'll tell their story, what they do over here, how they bridge the miles to home,
and how they spend Christmas in the Med.
A carrier battle group consists of many ships, each with a separate function. Out front are the escort ships. Nearby are many destroyers, supply ships, and submarines. Normally, the battle group is supported by 2 cruisers. Steaming with the Kennedy are the nuclear-powered guided missile cruiser Bainbridge and the guided missile cruiser Biddle. Captain Grant Fulkerson is her commanding officer.
Well, I personally think that the escorts, we probably don't get as much publicity, but in our role, certainly is to a limited degree not as great as that of the carrier. But I don't think that the carrier could operate effectively without escorts, the anti-air protection, the anti-submarine protection, and all the other things that a carrier needs to survive in wartime, the escorts do.
Commanding the USS Bainbridge is Captain J. Thomas Gilmartin. Her crew is about 550 strong. Small when compared to the carrier she steams with, but her power is enormous. Bainbridge has the latest in anti-air weapon systems. Her job is providing anti-warfare protection for the battle group.
We use our sensors, our radars, as well as a data link with the other ships in order to determine any potential adversary that might be out there.
In the case there is hostility, the Bainbridge's missiles are a very capable defense. It also coordinates the protection efforts between the other ships. The Biddle, too, is loaded with firepower. She has Harpoon missiles and the Vulcan Phalanx close-in weapon systems. Her weakness lies in refueling. Unlike the nuclear-powered Bainbridge, which can steam for years without replenishing, the Biddle must refuel every few months. Together, the battle group, consisting of about 10 ships, provides a show of strength that helps promote peace.
For the Kennedy, this is the reason for being here. Flight operations, over and over rehearsing this intricately choreographed ballet. Training with allies here, both new and old.
As a matter of fact, on this deployment, we have in fact exercised with relatively new partners and new friends around the North African littoral. Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt.
But there's more than flying. The ship really never stops training and drilling. And out here, even the commonplace is far from routine.
Good morning, I'm Joshua Humphreys. Nice to be alongside you on this great Navy day. Stand by for our shot lines forward, midship and aft.
About every 3 days, Kennedy rendezvous with a replenishment ship to take on fuel.
Today, not a real heavy day. We're taking about 800,000 gallons combined between jet fuel and fuel for the ship, 2 different types.
Kennedy adds an extra touch to replenishments, music from its very own rock band. But don't let that fool you.
And it's a very dangerous evolution. This is one of the more dangerous evolutions we do, 2 ships steaming this close together. A lot of tension. The span wires that you see behind you run about 20,000 pounds per square inch of tension on them.
Barely is this refueling completed, then before dawn the next day, Kennedy is joining another ship, the Sirius, to take on food and supplies that will last her for a month.
Take your hands out of your pockets! The other one too!
Navy ships have many highly sensitive areas. This Marine detachment on the USS John F. Kennedy is on loan from the Marine Corps for physical security. Marines are the combat-ready force aboard ship.
They're sort of like your all-around athletes of the ship. They're able to do anything you ask them to. They stand guard 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We're here all the time, every time. Whenever the ship is here, whether it's in the yards or out on deployment.
We're like in our own world down here. We don't involve ourselves with the Navy too much. They have their schedules, we have ours.
There are many other Marines here as well, about 4,000 of them on the 5-ship amphibious force, nearly 900 on the USS Guam.
And those Marines are split evenly between the battalion landing team, the actual ground troops, and the air combat element, the embarked helicopter squadron.
And we work it out with the ship's strike operations officer in terms of getting us to shore and getting us to where the action is so we can take charge and do whatever has to be done to ensure there's no loss of American life, no loss of American property, and no compromise of any our national secrets.
All together! Exercise!
The Marines are well equipped with tanks, trucks, Harriers, and Amtraks. They've operated on Navy ships for 213 years. We had planned to spend more time with these amphibious ships, but Mother Nature had other plans.
It wasn't supposed to happen, but weather will be weather. A low-pressure system took an unexpected turn straight for the Kennedy, not far from Mallorca. Winds gusted to 61 knots. Seas ran 16 feet. The night of Monday, December 12th, was a long one. Meteorologist Tom Donaldson and his crew got no sleep at all.
It was stationary, it got close to us, and those are pretty heavy seas. First time this deployment we haven't been able to fly.
Planes were lashed down to the deck. They weren't flying, and neither were we. Art, Pat Bork, and I stranded on board for 2 days.
Let's not run on the flight deck. All we have to do is get out of control and someone gets hurt or gets blown over the side.
Well, we had what we call a mistral. It's a condition that comes through France, through the Rhone Valley this time of year, in fact, all through the winter months.
If there's any doubt at all in your mind about the power of the sea, consider this. Right now we're in the front of the forecastle. Behind me is the bullnose. The 2 hatch covers in the background last night were hit by a wave and blown backwards. They hit this universal gym and knocked it back about 10 feet. To show you just how strong the sea is, this is one of the hatch covers that was in place. You can see it's a ½ inch thick. It weighs 1,800 pounds. The water split it in half. The storm ripped off an antenna and even twisted an I-beam. Kennedy is almost 1,100 feet long, and still she took a beating. We could only wonder what the storm had been like on the other smaller ships.
Put all these ships together and you have quite a powerful armada.
Of course, the fleet is more than just ships and storms. It's also sailors and Marines.
Thousands of them doing a tough, often lonely job a long ways from home.
How do they handle the strains of a deployment, especially at this time of year? We'll find out when we meet some of them next.
Hi, my name is Dennis Vore from Gloucester, Ohio. I'd like to say hi to my brother in Hampton. And hey, Ron, tell Mom and Dad I said Merry Christmas. Love yous.
Got 24 airplanes to recover. The first 4 down go to the Cats, 1 from each squadron.
Minutes before launch, a final brief in Kennedy's flight deck control for the crew that will get the planes airborne.
That's it. Let's roll.
You can tell who does what on the flight deck by the color of his shirt or vest. For instance, green is catapult and arresting gear crews. Brown, plane captains. In one yellow vest, plane director Gary Barker, who was chosen as a career one of the Navy's most dangerous jobs, amidst deadly propellers that are often invisible and jet blasts that can blow a man overboard like a feather.
It's scary if you're not paying attention to what you're doing and what other people are doing. You really need to look out for the other guys, along with looking out for yourself.
The sheer danger, though, leads to strong friendships and a lot of buddies.
I've got more than one good friend on here, and friends from back on the America. You do, you meet a lot of good people. When my wife and I got married, I was on the USS America, and one of the guys out of division was my best man.
Gary Barker is about to spend another Christmas away from home. In his young son's 3 years, Gary has been away from his family twice for the holidays. Separations are tough.
I don't feel it's as hard on me as it is on my wife. because, you know, she's back holding down the fort. She's got the kid to look after. She's got all the bills to pay. We do what we can from out here, but it never feels like enough. We've got a saying, I feel for you, but I just can't reach you. We can touch them through letters and cards and what have you, but it's hard. It's hard. That's a tough one.
This is where Lieutenant J.G. Moss spends most of his time. He's the auxiliary officer on the USS Biddle, in charge of the ship's refrigeration and heating. On this day, he conducts an important steering check. Moss is also flight deck officer, perhaps the most dangerous job on the ship, and many of his activities must be reported directly to the ship's commanding officer.
Let me know how it comes out, please.
It's all part of the territory junior officers must cross as they move up to higher command.
It's kind of tough. They expect a lot of you, and there's not many chances to slip up. With the watch you stand, a lot of responsibility falls on you.
Moss's days are long. Duty can often last nearly 15 hours straight.
I got a lot of real good teachers. All the senior officers keep us well informed, correct us if there's any mistakes.
But not only is the road to authority paved with pressure, it's also very lonely.
The loneliness sets in when you can't find a phone, all right, and you're underway for a couple weeks at a shot. The mail's slow getting in. That's probably when the most loneliest time comes in.
Last year at this time, Moss and his wife enjoyed their 3rd month of marriage together. They'll celebrate this Christmas thousands of miles apart. At least when this tough med deployment ends, Moss will have his surface warfare pin.
Right, that's the whole big thing. As soon as you get that, that's the goal you're looking forward to, especially on a cruise. Your goal on the cruise should be, when you come back, is that you have that pin.
The second night in Marseille, France is a duty night for some of the Marines on the USS Guam in Fairfax County.
Hi, we ready?
For Lance Corporal John Donahue and his buddies, it's movies and cards in their berthing space in the Fairfax County. It's his first cruise.
Well, it has its good times, its bad times. Most of the times, everybody's real close, and then every once in a while you'll have a skirmish, but it's nothing big. It gets, everything's fine.
At sea, it's his job to make sure the amphibious vehicles are in good shape.
We have certain stuff we do each day, like one day we'll do the guns, next day we'll do the radios, and I'll either be working on the engine or the transmission or just doing stuff around the track, making sure they're in tip-top shape so we can splash and not have any difficulties with.
When these Amtraks splash, they carry 25 Marines to shore, like these in the teamwork exercise during September in Norway. John is getting short. The cruise is almost over. That makes missing Christmas a little easier.
This is my first deployment, but it's not the first time for me to be away from home missing the holidays or anything, because I was in Paris Island for all the holidays last year, and then I graciously volunteered to come out here and miss them all again.
But even though he's missed it before, he's expecting this Christmas away from home to be just a little lonely. And that probably goes for most of the guys out here.
It's not so that we have any traditions, it's just a real family atmosphere. I mean, that's the only thing I really miss about missing Christmas. I could not get a gift, and I would be happy just being at home with my family, because the morale, or whatever you'd like to call it, family spirit is just so high. It's just, you can't get away from it. It's just enlightens your whole spirit, and that's the only thing I really miss about, being away for Christmas.
Well, usually we get the whole family together. I grew up on Long Island, and we head up to upstate New York. And we usually, I'm from a large family. I'm the youngest of 9 kids, so we get the whole family up there, and we go skiing up in Lake Placid, and we go out and cut down our own Christmas tree. And this will be one of the first times I don't take Patrice up there. The most memorable Christmas? Ooh, and that would have to be they're also good upstate New York. Usually what happens is I said last Christmas was our first Christmas together. We went out and cut down a tree ourselves, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of good times together.
I chose my career. I may not do 20 years, I may not do 30 years in the Navy, but right now, this is what I've chosen to do. So I've got to put things in a proper perspective and say, well, okay, it's Christmas, I'm away again. It seems to be a regular thing. It's, like I was saying before, this is my second one away from my wife since I've been on this ship. But you've got to you've got to remember what time of year it is and appreciate it, and yet still be able to maintain a level of consciousness about what you're doing out here, about why we're here.
I'm construction mechanic, second class Mike Remlard. I'm presently aboard USS Fairfax in Marseille, France, with a Fib CB2 and Blue 1. I want to say Merry Christmas to my wife Linda and to my dear kids, and I want to say Merry Christmas to 3rd Ward back home, and especially Bill Reuter. Merry Christmas.
Looks like it was pretty easy to hold the course alongside.
It was smooth. Interacting with his crew helps Captain J. Thomas Gilmartin release tension after a short night. Drills and exercises are constant during these 6-month deployments.
At sea, you work long days, but they go very rapidly. And in fact, keeping busy is important. It certainly makes the time go faster for us. I'd rather be busy.
Gilmartin, like other men in the elite company of commanding officers, has an awesome responsibility. Navy ships are expensive machinery, some of them costing billions of dollars. More important than the ships are the priceless lives aboard, lives often placed in harm's way each time they deploy, especially here in the Med, where trouble can come as quick as a stormy sea.
The American taxpayer has given me the privilege of commanding a ship, and with that goes the responsibility of the ship and also the responsibility of their sons and their brothers and their husbands.
It's a sign of the times for commanding officers. Their lonely task at the helm of control grows tougher, but the pressure isn't unexpected.
I've been in the Navy now for 24 years, and I've had an awful lot of sea duty. But I had a senior officer tell me some years ago that a commanding officer is the only person aboard ship that doesn't have a job. And it's true in some respects. I have, as I said, 500 enlisted people and 50 officers on here, and they all have very specific jobs to do, and they do them very well. My job, of course, is to coordinate their efforts and also to be looking ahead and make sure that we're ready for things that lie in the future.
But unfortunately for these men who control the floating worlds of steel, they can't control the future. 3 Navy captains have met the unseen of command this year and lost. The COs of the USS Stark, Haler, and the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. And the jury's still out on the Vincennes commander, all vulnerable because they were in command.
I think commanding officers have always accepted total responsibility and authority for their ships.
I couldn't describe what it's like to be in command. It's certainly the best job I've had in the Navy, and I've enjoyed every year of my naval career. And I'm not just saying that, I mean it. But being in command is a unique experience, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and would hate to give it up.
Only a few are selected for that very special challenge, which makes it even more meaningful.
Speaking of meaningful, we ought to mention that this ship, the John F. Kennedy, has a very special meaning for both Art and me.
When I became military reporter for WAVY TV almost 2 years ago, the Kennedy was the very first ship I visited. In fact, it's here that I got my sea legs. Well, sort of got my sea legs.
And for me, this ship used to be home. I was a junior officer assigned on an admiral's staff on board the Kennedy. I made 2 med deployments. I don't want to admit it, but it was 19 years ago. It's really hard to describe the bond that develops between you and your ship. It's more than just a workplace, it's more of your home. You eat, sleep, and work, play here, the crew becomes your family. This, by the way, is the forecastle, which is spelled forecastle, but don't ever pronounce it that way. After a little bit of effort, I found I could actually still find my way around this ship. Of course, that's a lot easier to do today. Now they have these wall maps all over the place to help you find your way around the ship. Back in my day, we never had these. Maybe that's why I got lost so often. On a ship, you navigate by numbers. Every room, every space has them. On a carrier, the hangar deck and below our decks, everything above is a level. So the 0-3 level here is one below the flight deck. The next number indicates the number of frames from the bow of the ship. The next number indicates whether the room is port or starboard of the center line. The 1 means that it's to the starboard side, the right side. The L simply means that it's a living space. This is one number I'm never going to forget because this is my old room. Guys who live here today were nice enough to let me stop by for a visit. Well, the door seems to be working pretty good today. I remember one cold day back in the Navy Yard in Portsmouth when it didn't. It jammed shut, and I was stuck in this room all day. And my old bunk. Just about a week after I left the ship, the Bob Hope USO tour came aboard, and Johnny Bench, the famous baseball player himself, slept in this very bunk, right underneath the jets. It's hard to imagine that you're on a Navy ship when you're in this room. This is the Admiral's Mess, where the Admiral and his staff eat. They also entertain foreign dignitaries over here in the Med when they're deployed. As a junior officer, I got to eat here every other month. But of all my memories on the Kennedy, none are stronger than those right up here on the flag bridge, up on the 08 level, 4 levels above the flight deck, about 110 feet above the water, where I spent a lot of long hours as a junior officer of the watch. We stood 1 and 4 watches, so I was never more than 12 hours away from this bridge. It was here during one dark mid-watch that I learned to drink coffee. People today still say I drink too much. But back then, it helped me keep alert until the welcome sight of the sun breaking over the flight deck once again. There are tense memories up here. Like the morning on September 18, 1970, we were on a 10-day cruise in the Caribbean. But there was trouble in the Mideast, and we were ordered to take the Leahy and the Belknap and simply go. Helos evacuated our civilians. It was an instant, unplanned Med deployment. And a tense one. Soviet ships were everywhere. It really looked to most of us like we might be going to war, and most of us made out wills. Fortunately, the danger passed in just about a month or so, but still, here we were, back in the Med again. There are good memories up here, too, like my boss, Rear Admiral Bill Hauser, still one of the finest men I've ever met. He retired with his 3rd star back in 1976. When he wasn't up on the bridge, you could often find Admiral Hauser on the hangar deck in a killer volleyball game. It was the end of an era. I saw the last A-1 Spads in the fleet. And I spent a lot of time watching the F-4s. It's still my favorite airplane. In one of them at the time, Lieutenant J.G. Don Scherer is now a captain. You may remember him as one of the Iranian hostages. I suppose looking back, the Navy wasn't as bad as it seemed back then when I was all those lonely miles from home, or maybe not as good as I remember it now. But somehow, after almost 20 years, the only memories that remain are good ones.
I would like to say Merry Christmas to my wife, Marla, and my daughter and my son, Michelle and Mitchell. I miss you and love you all.
Let us build a city of God. May our tears be turned into dancing.
Sunday night aboard the Kennedy in time for Catholic Mass in the crew's lounge.
We also know that what we're celebrating here is the fact that God is not coming sometime in the future. Rather, God is coming right now.
For 213 years now, Navy ships have carried chaplains to tend to the spiritual needs of sailors at sea. The Kennedy has 3, a Catholic and 2 Protestants. Plus a visitor today, the 6th Fleet Chaplain, a rabbi celebrating the end of Hanukkah with his Kennedy congregation.
Highly spirited, singing, foot-stomping congregation, and the lay reader happens to be one of the people with the messing department. So we had some fantastic potato latkes, potato pancakes to celebrate the holiday.
Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ.
Christians aboard, of course, are celebrating their coming holiday, even though most won't be home to spend Christmas with their families.
He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness.
The crew is lucky in one respect, though. The sadness of being away for the holidays is tempered with the thought that, after all, this cruise is nearing an end. They'll be home in just about 5 weeks. But for some, the strain of deployments and separation can be enormous, giving rise to another role for chaplains.
Well, oftentimes it's just the opportunity of being able to come to somebody in the quiet and the security, confidentiality of a room, and be able to talk about whatever is bothering them. Oftentimes 45 minutes to an hour, letting them vent, giving them some helpful support, this type of thing can be very, very helpful. The younger fellas, oftentimes this is their first time away from home, or if they're newly married, certainly they're experiencing the separation syndrome between them and themselves and their wife. And that can be quite difficult for them.
And when a ship is deployed at this time of year, chaplains see even more demand for their counsel. Holidays like Christmas can be tough.
It can be, especially the first time people out on cruise. And usually they need to be able to talk about it, gain the support, gain a little bit of insight of how to handle the separation over this particular time of year, which is often considered a family time.
I never was deployed at Christmas on board the Kennedy, but I did spend a couple of Thanksgivings at sea, and they were kind of lonely. For its part, the Navy really tries to make holidays special. It'll be what's called holiday routine. Only the minimum number of sailors will actually have to work. And the crew has done its part, too, to make it special. This entire ship is decorated every place you look. It's not quite home, but it's a darn good attempt.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents by the tree. Christmas Eve will find you in the love lights gleam. Well, I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dream.
Now, Kavalani Lana Kilo, remember to go to sleep early on Christmas. Don't forget the milk and cookies. Santa Claus already told me he will not bring you that special gift. He will bring that on the Christmas we will have the night I get back. Have a safe and happy holiday. Merry Christmas. I love and miss you all. I'll be there in spirit and heart.
Yes, I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams.
Hi, my name is DK1 Larry Lee from the USS Bainbridge. I'd like to wish my wife and kids, Vilma, Elizabeth, and Michael, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you on the pier in Norfolk.
I start planning the Christmas meal probably around the first part of October about what we're going to have, especially when we're underway like this. You got to make sure the food is ordered and comes in on time. The cooks generally start actual preparation around 6 o'clock night before that. Okay, after the thaw time of the turkey and the hams and the roast that we're going to whatever we'll be using that time. It takes about I have generally about 17, 18 cooks normally on watch, and then we usually call in a few of the other key personnel to help out, for the Christmas meal preparation, the garnishing the line, the setup, and just make sure the extra stuff is put in to help, have these guys feel a little better about themselves.
It's also a time they get a chance to eat a little better. Chief Cook Sid Cohen shares the menu for Christmas meal aboard the USS Kennedy. It includes 2 tons of turkey, more than a half-ton of beef tenderloins, about 700 pounds of shrimp, a half-ton of fresh-baked bread and rolls, 100 gallons of gravy, 500 gallons of eggnog, and more than 600 freshly baked pumpkin and mincemeat pies.
A Christmas meal is exceptionally important because when you're deployed like this, helps the guys out with the morale as much as possible. They're down the dumps anyway, being away from home for Christmas. But the added things that they just go into that they like to have, just the candies and the nuts and the sweet potatoes, things like that they enjoy having this time of the year. It brings them a little closer to home.
There are many special requests for dishes that remind sailors of home during these times. And would you believe there's a menu advisory board? And it tries to accommodate, but they're not exactly the same as Mom's home cooking.
I feel like Dad. Yeah, the guys back here, the cooks feel a lot more closer about it, especially when they do get a lot of compliments, things like that, and they feel good about it.
It's also aboard the ship the first shopping begins. The ship's store has quite a few holiday gift items to choose from.
You can get the items a little cheaper here, plus there's no sale tax on the items itself here, so you get a better deal here. A lot of items you do.
All around the ship you can see Christmas taking form, bells hung over the mess hall, Christmas cards, Frosty's here too, as well as reindeer, and of course Santa. The sailors can't say they're doing it for the kids unless they're talking about the kid in themselves. Making a ship look more like home is nice, but these sailors know that loved ones waiting back home in Hampton Roads are not only waiting for their safe return, they also want gifts. Gifts from overseas. Francais, perhaps? Well, most of these guys are on their way to do some Christmas shopping.
I've never been to France before, and it's really special because, I can take home a little bit of part of France that, my wife doesn't get a chance to see every day, and my kids reading the books, but then they think, well, where Dad is now, and it's kind of amazing seeing that we're across the seas that far, and we can still share a little bit of Christmas with them.
And so the sailors hit the shopping district in downtown Marseille, France, where the Cathedral of Notre Dame keeps divine watch, and for the single guys, local mademoiselles have a friendly smile.
Somebody help me out. What's
That's it, Zodi toilet. I don't know if that's good or not.
we have to check some of this stuff out, I guess. Lavender? Oh yeah, I know. The wife has been showered with it many times, so I know what it smells like.
All this on film, so you know if you pick the wrong one. What are you looking for specifically?
I'm looking for some opium. They got a very nice fragrance and smells very nice on my wife. So it must be the chemical reaction she has. Yeah, I'd like to take a look at those. No, this one right here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That one.
The lady of the country.
The lady of the country?
Yes, the lady is a fish. Okay?
Oh, okay.
The street. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Au revoir.
I try to pick up something each port that we go into, and you know, even if it's a little bit of something, I can say that you know, this has come from France or this has come from Spain, been over in Israel and that. So a little bit of something from overseas really brings a smile to their face.
Sailors don't have to worry about the Christmas spirit. It shines brightly even in the streets of Marseille and illuminates from the mountains.
Well, I kind of wish the family was here doing the shopping with me, but seeing that they can't, I've talked to my wife, and she's doing her shopping over in the States, and I'm doing mine here. So we're having a good time.
Petty Officer Willie Miles from Conflict Round 4 staff. I'd like to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's to my wife Sheila, and to the kids Alicia and Nicole, and to my brothers John and Sharon living in Hampton, and to their kids.
On a carrier, the C-2 is hardly the most glamorous of planes. It's unarmed, not very fast. It's called a COD, a transport plane. But no plane's arrival is so eagerly awaited. You see, CODs carry mail, bag after brightly colored bag of one of the most precious commodities on a ship. The Kennedy has its own post office just to handle it all for itself and its escorts. And as much comes in, quite a bit goes out, too. One ship's mailbox emptied after only 6 hours overnight. Sailors have been writing letters home, and families have been answering ever since the first ship sailed.
But in this age of electronics, that time-honored tradition has a new twist. It's affectionately called familygrams.
For months now, families have been gathering at places like this to record messages to their sailors.
But instead of using pen and paper, they use microphones and cameras.
You're going to have about 2 minutes to record your message. Look straight into the camera lens, and we're going to point to you when it's time to start.
Okay, and when the girls talk, so I get
just hand them the mic, put it in front of them, okay?
Okay.
Everybody relax, and we'll be over with before you know it, okay?
You ready?
All right, we're all set.
Picture's worth 1,000 words, as you know, and it really helps Dad. It's hard for the families, but I think it's harder for the men to be separated. It's very lonely out on a cold, gray steel boat with no family. And so this is very helpful. It's like taking a piece of home and giving it to these guys.
And Melanie and Linda are all in December. So we brought a birthday cake from Linda's kitchen. Let's all sing happy birthday. I said, wow.
And we get a familygram, and over again it says, write to your husband, please write to your husband. They're really down, they really need this.
Familygrams have become popular among military families. It's a time they come together and reach out overseas. And much like letters, familygrams have their own flavor.
And we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a very happy birthday.
I think it's important for the husbands and the daddies to see all the people, and it's nice for all of us to get together and meet each other and know we're all in the same boat and all our daddies and husbands are gone at the same time.
It's a festive occasion during the recording of these familygrams. There's plenty of food and gifts. And of course, children always enjoy a visit from Santa.
You don't know what's on this list that you want for Christmas, Amy? What is it?
I want Dolly's Prize and a telescope.
You know what ship your daddy's on?
No.
The Bainbridge.
Oh yeah, the Bainbridge.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Families also remember sailors overseas by lifting their voices in song.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
get to cry.
On this same crisp Saturday in early December, a small group of wives from the USS Guam is also recording messages.
Okay, this is the microphone that goes along with it.
You got it.
They didn't get to tape familygrams at their Christmas party, so Daily News photographer James Wright and the rest of us got into the act. For the wives, just getting together can be a real boost.
It's hard. It's good when you have family nearby. Like, luckily, I do have my sister here, which helps a lot. And when you don't have that, I think the Wives Club is important to have, because when you don't have family and you're in a strange place, it's very hard.
Familygrams are probably not the best performances ever recorded, but the messages come straight from the heart. And to the guys on ships like the Bainbridge and Guam, no poetry ever sounded any sweeter.
Hi, honey. We wanted to let you know that the house is still standing, the cars are still running, the lawn and the critters are still alive. We just want you to know we miss you a whole lot. We love you.
Say Dada.
Come on, Dada, Dada.
It's been difficult without you around for these last few months. We've only got 2 more to go, and it'll be very soon. Just keep counting the days down. I think today makes only 59 more days. I love you very much. Take care of yourself. Don't have too much fun, and come home soon. Merry Christmas, dear.
We hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we're really looking forward to you getting home.
It ought to be done for every ship and every crew. It's super.
Hi, Daddy. Merry Christmas. Ashley's birthday is coming up, so we're pretty busy. Bye. I love you. Merry Christmas.
Hi everyone, I'm Lieutenant J.G. Kevin Johnson of VAW 126. I'd like to take this opportunity to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from all of the Seahawks to all our families and friends back home. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Aboard the ships of the carrier battle group and the amphibious group, the countdown is well underway. By Christmas, it'll be about 37 days and a wake-up until homecoming. We've dealt tonight with the loneliness of being away for the holidays, but don't get the wrong idea. We found few long faces out here. It's not like these guys don't miss home and family, but out here the ship becomes home, the crew becomes family. They find strength and support in each other. And for many, like me when I was in, the toughest part of a cruise is the first few days after sailing. Also, this is a volunteer Navy. Some of these guys will get out as soon as they can, but others will make it a career, figuring the strain of separation is just one cost of their profession, but a strain most often felt this time of year.
It's tough being gone at Christmas, and a lot of them it's their very first Christmas away from home. And we'll work extra hard to try and make it a great day for them.
For the families and friends back at home, I would only tell them their men are doing something they should be proud of. They would much rather be home with their families, but we all have got to contribute. These are fine young men who are doing a super job, and the people back home ought to be very proud. I'll get them home safely and as on time as I can.
Well, that's our program, a look at Christmas with the 6th Fleet in the Med.
You know, some of these guys will soon take leave and head home. Others lucky enough to have their families flying over here to meet them, but most will spend the holidays alone.
Now, it's not everybody that's lucky enough to spend Christmas in an exotic port like Marseille or Cannes, France, but for most of these guys, their thoughts are 3,741 miles in the direction of that setting sun, a place far better, a place called home.
And for me, Terry, and photographer Pat Burke, Merry Christmas from the Med.
And good night.
Hello, my name is Petty Officer Gordon Wheeler on the Guam. I'd like to say Merry Christmas to my wife Terry. I love you, and I'll be home soon.
Hi, I'm PCSN Brown. I'm for USS Fairfax County. I'm presently in Marseille, France. I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to my friends and family and my wife, Patricia Marie Kelsey, and her family stationed in Norfolk also, Scott Kelsey and Teresa Kelsey. Merry Christmas.
Hello, Lori and Terrence. I know you're both in Florida enjoying yourself. When you get back, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy birthday to my son, Terrence.
I'm Petty Officer Simpson from Fighter Squadron 32, and I'd like to wish my family and all the other swordsman families back in Norfolk a very Merry Christmas.
MSC Onsby off the USS Bainbridge, wishing my family and friends a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and see you on the pier.
I'm Randy Tunak from Operations Department on board John F. Kennedy, and I want to wish a very special Merry Christmas to my wife Felicia and my son Brian.
Hi, my name is TM2 Anthony Smith. I'm aboard USS Biddle in the Mediterranean. I'd like to say Merry Christmas to my very lovely wife Lisa and my two beautiful daughters Erica and Jessica, and wish everybody in Hampton Roads area Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hi, I'm James Abel, the 2nd AAV Vehicle Battalion, presently stationed on board the USS Fairfax County in Marseille, France. I'd like to say hi to Dave and Connie, who live in Virginia. I'd like to say hi to my wife Ellen. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hi, I'm Captain Tim Brenneman, aboard the USS Guam. I'm with the squadron, and I'd like to wish my mom a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hello, my name is HM2 Dwayne Cook on the USS John F. Kennedy. I'd like to say hello to my wife Anita and my two beautiful children, Jennifer and Dwayne.
From the 6th Fleet staff and all the other sailors in the 6th Fleet to their families and friends back in the Hampton Roads area, happy holidays.
Hello, my name is Dave Kleintop off the USS Bainbridge. I'd like to wish my wife Becky and my daughter Amy a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hello, I'm Captain Grant Fulkerson, Commanding Officer of the Guided Missile Cruiser Biddle. I want to say to all the families and friends of Biddle in the Norfolk area the happiest and holiest of holidays, and especially to my wife Ann and sons Michael and David, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope to see you soon.
I'm Rear Admiral Dave Morris, Commander Carrier Group 8, part of the Kennedy Battle Group, many ships from the Hampton Roads area, and I'd like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas from all of us out here, wishing we were back home with you.